Hi, and welcome to the first ever Rainbow Space Magic Con. This is the Ace Arrow Characters in Spec panel. So without further ado, let's go down and introduce our panelists. Say your name and what you do.
All right,
who wants to start?
Who's starting this?
Sorry. Okay, I will start. I'm Antonia Aquilante. I write fantasy romance, and I'm published with 9 Star Press, and I'm demisexual. So how about, I don't know if there's, okay, that's all I have for now. Who's next?
I guess I can go next. Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Dennis. Right now, I mostly write contemporary and some fantasy and paranormal. I am looking into getting deeper into spec fic, of course. I am mostly asexual, and I have a couple of asexual characters. One is actually printed out with my Southern Charms series that is with Pride Publishing. I am also with MLR Press. And I'm also looking into do some personal publishing, but I'm still figuring all that out. Go ahead, Rory.
Hi, I'm Rory niCoileain, and I write at this moment primarily gay erotic romance, but it's urban fantasy or mythic fantasy. If you look at my Twitter handle, it says mythic and legendary romance author. I love anything based on myth and legend. And I am asexual myself. Didn't figure it out until about 5 years ago, but better late than never.
Right. I'm Ellis Kincaid. I write all across different genres, mostly MM romance.
You're muted again, Alice.
There we go.
Blame it on the cat.
There's a cat that will be appearing. Sorry. But yeah, most of my stuff is in the middle of being reprinted after publisher closing, and I am pansexual and ace.
So now what?
I believe we're supposed to be talking about sexual characters in fiction and recommendations of our favorite books with asexual characters. A lot of the ones I like are going to be older stuff, like Tamora Pierce had Calandri in Protector of the Small. Mercedes Lackey had Tamara. I'm probably saying that wrong. Anyone else want to give some favorites?
Well, there's those two from definitely older, but still good books, probably deserve a reread. In, I guess, more of the paranormal romance aspect of things, Jen Burke's Not Dead Yet series has a demisexual main character, and it's great, one of my favorites. The Painted Crown by Megan Dare, both also kind of fantasy romance. Both main characters are on the ace spectrum, so that was I think a good one. Anybody else?
I haven't actually read any books looking for ace and arrow characters. I am now starting to, now that I realize what's going on in the changes. I just love to read for read. I don't actually read to look deeper into meanings or specific types or anything. I just look for writers I love, stories I love, worlds I love. One of my favorite worlds is the Black Jewels trilogy. Hold on. With her. This is Anne Bishop's Black Jewels. This is their newest one that just came out. I know she has a couple of gay characters and a gay male characters, but it's all based on jewels and power and things of that nature. And those are the kinds of things I look for, are the world building and some of the characters. I don't actually look for ace character. Oh my God, here's an ace character. Let me get it. I look for the world first.
And I have a little bit different take on that. I grew up ace without realizing that's what I was. And I just never paid attention to that element in books.
Mm-hmm.
I found myself liking the books that didn't make sexuality a focus.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to fall into the idea that, well, anything that doesn't mention sex must be asexual, because that's not the case either. You know, I grew up reading a lot of what I would now consider hard science fiction that focused on the tech, that focused on the other aspects of the story, and didn't mention sexuality. But you know, you automatically mentally default to, oh, they must be, well, back in my youth, it was, they must be straight and they must be allosexual and they must, you know, that's just, we're not talking about that right now.
Yeah, I think most of the other ones outside of you're either straight, you're gay, that's it. And that was the way it was in books when I was growing up. It was one or the other, and gays usually were dead by the end of the book or halfway through the book. So it wasn't actually, it was hard to see and realize, okay, I'm different, but how am I different? Like, I'm not going off dating every single person out there and going like that. And like, okay, the books are the same way. But again, it's not something I focused on. I focused on the story, the world building, the magic. That's what I built on. If they had sex, sometimes I read it, sometimes I just flipped past it.
I think I've been looking for more ace characters lately. I had never even heard the word demisexual until I probably was 30. So, and then I heard it and figured out what it meant, and I was like, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But so, yeah, I think obviously, yeah, want the world building, want the story. I mean, I'm a romance writer. I want the happily ever after. But I think, you know, I've definitely looked for more ace characters. I've tried to write more ace characters because I think we need that out there too. Because if you're someone, you know, like me, who just never even heard of it, it's good to have those books out there, even if, you know, their focus isn't on, you know, like even the story isn't focusing on, oh, this character is ace. It's just, they are, and they're, you know, whatever, going on adventures, doing whatever they're doing. I think that's good to have. Let's see, we've got some, I keep looking at it. I don't know if we want to keep chatting a little. I don't know if we want to answer questions as we go. We have a few questions.
At least one of the questions. Scott asked, for those who aren't familiar yet, how would you describe asexuality? How would you describe being aromantic? Where asexuality and aromantic are both on different spectrums. Ace being on one end of the sexual spectrum, which includes also demi or gray A, and being, you know, the spectrum of feeling sexual attraction regardless of gender of the other person. And then a romantic spectrum, which isn't always tied to asexuality. You can be asexual and romantic, asexual and aromantic, which is you don't have any romantic intentions. You can be sexual, allosexual, and be aromantic. So.
You can also be asexual and gay, asexual straight, asexual pan. You can have those things. You just don't want the actual physical part of the, you don't want the actual physical connection of, asexuals aren't looking for the physical sexual act connection when we're in relationships. We look for someone, We're more on the companionship, the love part, the emotional connection. Me, I don't give a damn. I don't, when I look for someone, I don't automatically see them in bed. So that's kind of me. And it's the same way when I write a character that's an ace, there are some books and some lines where I had to have my ace character be sexual in a way, but he was sexual with toys, not with the actual person. So that's how I had to handle the sexual, oh my God, my brain just died. The sexual areas of my book for that particular character, because that was part of my storyline, and my editor says, well, because this way the storyline is, you have to have at least 1 or 2 scenes, that's the word I was looking for, in each book for the characters to connect that way. I'm like, well, he's ace, he doesn't do sex, but I was typing up and looking at all throughout the Asex even websites, and they said, oh, well, I do like toys. I work with toys. That's how I get my kicks. Like, I could do that. So that's how I had to twist up ace a little bit.
Well, and I think it depends too on, like, I think, there are obviously, it's a spectrum, right? There are obviously these people who, want nothing to do with sex ever. There are ace people who like sex sometimes, or with just a certain person, or just with toys. So I think that's maybe something that gets, some people get a little, who aren't ace, maybe get a little wrong too, because it is such a spectrum, and a lot of people just seem to think, asexual means never have sex ever, like, where it's really a little bit different. It's just that idea of that sexual physical attraction might not be there, or might not be there all the time. Because if you're someone who's, demisexual or gray ace, it might just be that there are a certain set of conditions, or it's just a very rare thing.
Basically, our guys wouldn't be the type who would automatically do a hookup at a bar. Our guys wouldn't be the ones who go running off into the bathroom for a quick cookie and then come back out and dance on the floor. That's what our guys would do.
And I had to, one of my demisexual characters, I had a little back and forth with an editor about that, because she really was like, no, it needs to be like that he's thinking about like this attraction. I'm like, no, he's not feeling that now. Like, he just met this guy. He's like, he likes him. He had a good conversation. He's thinking, hey, I might want to talk to this guy again, but it wasn't that physical attraction. And it really, I had to spend a lot of time with my editor kind of back and forth a little bit saying, no, we can't go there yet. Like, he's,
so
this character is demisexual, he's going to get there, but that's not where we are. That's not where we are.
A little hard to convey that message through writing sometimes. It's hard to convey that through your word, because you don't want the guy to automatically think, okay, yeah, I'm thinking about sex, when he's not. It's not in his brain to do that, but I'm just saying him as general. But I found it was very hard to do that, to convey that line and to separate that out, because most people, when they pick up a romance book, romance equals sex, and like, not always. Really, there's another way to do it.
I think I had a little bit of an advantage in my Soul Shares series. I've got 9 books, 17 main characters, and that it's, what is it, 7 couples and a throuple.
And a dog.
And I was, and well, yeah, and the puppy, yes, a blind fade hound puppy that farts. Doesn't fit anywhere on any spectrum that I know of. Yes, adorable. But I have one character in there. My fae tend to be hypersexual, extremely. But one of them is Demi, and basically had no interest in sex until the right person came along. Persons, in his case. He's part of the throuple. And I think that's what's meant when we talk about there has to be a condition met for a demisexual. It takes more than just you happen to be the right gender for me to speculate about having sex with you, to relate to you on a sexual basis. I personally am not demi. I'm demi-romantic, which is another kettle of fish. But then I have another character who's, as far as anybody knows, he's immortal, and he's just never seen the point except once, and he was just completely knocked off his, well, not feet, roots in his case. He was completely blown away, and that's normal for him. That's gray sexuality. It's unpredictable. It only happens some of the time. And it's funny because I didn't set out to write either of these characters this way, because I wrote them at a time when I still had no idea. It's just that this was what these characters wanted to be. So I wrote them that way. And maybe the best definition of aromantic that I've heard is the way that an asexual person, there isn't the desire for a sexual relationship. In aromantics, it's not so much love, because I do not want to say anybody doesn't love. But an aromantic does not have the need or the desire for an exclusive relationship, whether that is with one other person, more than one other person, however many. They don't have that need for exclusivity. Because I've known aromantic people who are incredibly loving. It's just that they don't want to, they don't have a need to feel like there's that one special person that they're going to share this with.
Does anyone else find it harder to write the sex scenes because we personally don't feel it inside? I know as I always have a block with some of them is that I either do the same thing over and over again, or it takes me a little longer to find the right paths to get to the sex scenes. How about you guys?
I've been writing sex scenes so long for fan fiction and stuff, so it's like, it's kind of old hat now.
I had to get some manuals to help me out.
I mean, I'm also not a guy, so I can put myself in that headspace for writing romance. So it's kind of the same. It's like, I'm not there, but I can understand the cultural norm of what this should be.
Yeah.
There's actually a term called autocorosexuality, or it's really weird when you hold your water bottle up like that. It disappears. It's so cool. Oh, look, squirrel.
I got the cat next to me, so every once in a while she does something. Anyone want to see her?
Hey, baby. There's a term called autocorosexuality, which basically means, and I refer to it as sensuality rather than sexuality, because it means being turned on by something in inverse proportion to the possibility that it might involve you. Like, I have no problem at all writing gay love scenes, sex scenes, anything like that. It's no problem, no issue. Love it.
Can I pass mine to you then?
FF, lesbian. I can, it's harder for me, but I know I'm not a lesbian. So I am not tempted to put myself into the scene, as it were. So it's a little bit more of a mental reach, but I can do it. But plain old ordinary hetero, no, not gonna do it. Not, no.
And that's what I started writing, was plain old hetero. Luckily I had some dragons and jaguars mixed in, but they are still as people. And I was like, oh wait, what am I doing to myself? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back and flip a Nora Roberts book open, read a couple of her scenes. Okay, that helps. She does it really good. I prefer, if I need some help, I'll go flip open one of her books. How about the rest of you?
I don't know. I think in some ways, yeah, it helps that these are, you know, my characters separate from me. So, you know, I can separate myself out. So it's not, you know, me in this, which is maybe a little weird, but it's, you know, my characters and it's what they're doing. And it's, you know, so I'm not in, like, I'm not them, I'm, you know, writing them. So I think, yeah, it's that same sort of idea. I can usually write them. I mean, I don't write super explicit, like I write fantasy romance. I don't write, you know, erotic romance. So mine maybe aren't super explicit anyway. Yeah. While they are still, you know, there are still sex scenes, they are still, you know, but yeah, maybe not quite as graphic as if I were writing an erotic romance. I haven't quite gone there. Don't know if I will, but yeah, it's really just, you know, I'm writing these characters. As long as I keep, you know, I'm not imagining myself in their place.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Most of mine is low to mid heat. I usually keep mine low to mid heat level too, for that reason.
You know, looking at the rest of the spec fic spectrum, as it were, I'm still incubating an idea. I don't know what it's going to turn into eventually. I know I'm going to write it eventually, but my three main characters, if I had to give you my 30-second elevator speech, are a elderly lesbian librarian with stabby knitting needles who saves the world, an asexual. I'm struggling with this actually because I don't like the idea of asexual as alien, because, you know, then it's like, oh, you just don't have to worry about sex because they're not humans. Of course, they're not interested in sex. And like I said, I want to stay away from that trope. But this character definitely is asexual and an alien, so I'm just going to have to deal with it somehow.
And maybe the whole world is alien and they just separate into a new person.
Well, no, the elderly librarian crash lands onto an alien planet.
Gotcha.
So she's not really an alien, but you know what I mean. And then there is a genderless but very human personality AI. And it's basically a triangle, although that's not the focus of the story. It's completely a science fiction story. And I think we need to see more of that too, you know, because the thing about writing in the romance genre, which I love, is that is the focus of the story, you know. And it's like with the rest of the LGBTQ spectrum, we just would like to see regular stories out there that a character just happens to be ace and it's not the defining point of the story, you know.
Yeah.
It just is there. It's part of what makes them who they are, but the story isn't about this person being ace and learning to deal with it and learning to find a relationship and all that stuff.
And avoiding the whole magic peen
Oh,
part that
please,
automatically
yes,
straightens them out.
yes.
Well, I mean, I've written a few demisexual characters so far, and even though they're romances, I've tried really hard not to make it like about that, about them, you know, coming like, okay, how do I have a, you know, how do I figure this out? They just sort of, they know they are, like they just, you know what they are by now. They know this part of them, they accept this part of them. And it's sort of like, okay, yeah, there are definitely challenges with it, and, you know, sort of explaining to, you know, this prospective person that they might be falling for. But it's kind of this, I don't know, I don't want it to be the focus. I want it to be, you know, they're falling in love, and then they're probably also trying to save their kingdom or something. And, you know, there's stuff going on, but I wanted it to be, you know, it's part of their life, it's part of who they are. It means they're going to navigate a relationship a little bit differently. It doesn't have to be the only thing defining who they are, I guess. Is that kind of, I don't know. And I know that's a line to walk.
Yeah.
We'll see how, I don't know.
And it's hard because do we have to put it in, and like, do we have to put it in the blurb stating this is what's going to happen, versus just letting people read the book, figure it out. Oh, hey, they're this way. Why should we have to force it into the blurb saying this is how they are?
Yeah, I've never put it. Yeah.
I think I did it once.
Blurb, so.
I think I did it once, and I'm not sure if I want to do it again.
I didn't. I mean, I haven't done it yet. Don't know that I would. I mean, I do, you know, I do talk, like I'll tell people, it's not like I'm hiding it, because I know too that there are definitely, you know, people who want that representation. So I'm certainly like, it's not like, oh wow, surprise, but it's also not something I felt had to go into a blurb, at least for my stories.
I think mine came out about 4 or 5 years ago, before all this really blew up, that we really need all of the colors to come out. So I think that's why I had to put mine in the blurb to say, hey, this guy's a little different. He's not your normal gay guy. So, but it was part of a series, so I figured I can get away with it. And I did. The new one, though, I don't think I am. It's just a part of who he is.
Yeah, some of the newer books I've seen that have come out don't necessarily mention that the character is asexual, like B.E. Schwab has a superhero series. Villain, I forget the title. Actually, yeah, Vicious and Vengeful. And if you hadn't read through the books, you wouldn't really know the character is asexual, other than, you know, there's no romance there. But it's stated like in the second book, when they actually like say explicitly, hey, he's asexual, which kind of like the whole coming out story in gay fiction, we're kind of past the point where we need to have every book about gay characters involve a coming out. It's, you know, you can just have a story with ace characters and they do normal human things or alien things, depending on what you're writing, or space elf things, as was mentioned in the chat. But it's more about the story, and then just really just whether there is a sex scene or not, or in the case of Demi, you know, the sexual attraction with just one specific person or some specific criteria of what they're attracted to.
Should we, let's see.
We got a question from Scott.
Yep.
What do non-ace arrow writers get wrong?
Well, I think there's definitely a lot of tropes around asexuality. Like there's the asexual villain. So because they're a villain, they don't have sexual attraction. Um, there's the, as was mentioned in chat, there's the asexual alien of, oh, they just don't have the parts for it. Instead of like going into the full, you know, they just don't experience sexual attraction. That's more about them than their race or their position in the story.
Yeah, the I don't know quite how to put this. I am hoping that most fiction is past this point by now, but I know that for me growing up, the only representation of characters that I would now consider possibly asexual was the frigid woman.
Mhm.
And just the idea, it's othering the asexual. It's, you know, this person is not normal. This person is, there's something missing, there's something broken. And I saw that all the time, obviously. Earlier, I don't think I've seen anything. If I have, I just completely blanked it out. It's like, get this away from me. But I haven't seen anybody falling back on that trope. The idea that asexuals don't love, or even aromantics don't love, I see coming up. And again, that's like downright hurtful. I'm seeing in the chat the choice of celibacy. Celibacy is not asexuality. Although it's kind of funny, I'm a member of an Episcopalian monastic order. I'm an associate member. And I was talking with the associate mentor, and I mentioned being ace, and he just very, you know, oh, then you should think about, you know, doing a full profession, becoming a nun. I'm like, no, it's not the same thing. Celibacy is giving up something that you are otherwise inclined to pursue. And it is not the same thing as not having the inclination to pursue it in the first place. And I said, could I be a nun and be married? Because I'm engaged. Could I be a nun and be married? Well, no.
That's really mixing up the religions too.
Well, it's something I hope to bring a little bit of clarity to, because, you know, what do religious orders mean when they talk about a vow of celibacy? And it turns out that I had a really good chat with my superior, actually, and he, they're actually focusing more, it's not on, you know, build up the magic sex energy and use it for something else, you know, that's not what it's about. It's a matter of having and respecting boundaries. And actually, associate members do not make a promise of celibacy. We make a promise of, I believe they term it chastity, but it's simply respecting your own boundaries and other people's.
I think that's part of the Mormon too. Before they get married, they're supposed to be celibate or chastity before they take their vows and get married to another member of the Mormon church.
But my order actually also does not have the marriage requirement. They're very forward thinking. They said, you know, if you want to profess the next level of vows, being oblated, then you should be in a marriage relationship, or if your culture or your country doesn't allow that, fine. You know, but again, it's the respecting of boundaries.
And that is one trope you see a lot is, you know, the ace character because they don't want sex. Obviously, they don't want a relationship. It's like, I'm ace and I've been happily married for 6 years.
Yeah.
And the romantic part of it is completely separate from the asexual part of it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm asexual. I was married. I've been married for a total 2 marriages, at least 25 years. And my 23-year-old son is sitting on the sofa behind me playing video games right now. And, you know, I assure you, he came about in quite the usual way. And right now he's probably rolling his eyes so far into the back of his head that they're coming out the other side.
Like, Mom, don't go there. Sorry, kiddo.
But yeah, it doesn't have any implications even for whether you actually have sex at all. Because an asexual person could be in a relationship with an allosexual person and have sex with them out of a desire to make their partner happy, not because they are sexually attracted to them.
For me, all my life, starting a relationship was never a priority for me. It was never in my mindset. My longest relationship is my cats. It's my second one. And I'm quite happy with that. I don't mind. I am not a people person. I go to work and I get stressed out. I come home. I got the cat. I'm calm and content. Ask Rory. She's doing a lot of it with me, so she knows how I am. She knows I just want to curl up at the end of the day and like, oh my God, why am I here? But yet I learned to put on the front, but that's a whole other side of emotions. It's not part of that, but it blends all into who I am. And I think a lot of my characters followed a little bit of that too. But yeah, I do miss being able to hug people. I see a lot over on the panel thing where we can't hug everyone, we can't touch. Oh my God, you're not allowed to go like with so many feet at each other. My parents finally able to nudge my parents yesterday because they helped me get a car. So I'm like, I just wanted to hug them all over and I couldn't. So yeah, I miss the hugging friends. I hope we can do that at GRL because that's a big part of it.
My cat is hugging my hand right now.
Mine abandoned me. We're getting close to dinner time and then shove a pill down the throat. So she's heading towards that area. Hey, if anyone says cats don't have clocks, that one does.
Anyone in the audience have any questions for our last 15 minutes or so?
I think we're supposed to knock off at like 10 till. So got 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, to give them time to get set up.
Yep.
Next one. So yeah, so if anybody has any more questions, that'd be great. And then maybe before we end, we should, I know we've also kind of talked about how we've written, you know, ace or aromantic characters, but I don't know that we ever mentioned book titles. Maybe we should do that before the end. Tell people, you know, if they want to read our books with ace characters, where they can find them.
I can start. My book is Southern Charm. That's a series name. The actual book is Following the Law. He's an IT tech, and he gets with the sheriff. The IT guy is the hidden ace guy, and the sheriff is a big, bulky guy. So definitely not a Republican. Thank you. Which apparently he is in the actual county that I've written him in, and the actual town that I twisted. So completely different from the actual sheriff. But it's called Following the Law. That's the first one. The new one is the one I'm writing now, and it's an older series that I'm bringing back out after I rewrite it. It was called Ghosts on the Wing. It's now called Choices, Life on a Wing. And his name is Anderson St. John. And yes, he's named after Anderson Cooper, who is adorable. But he's a teenager. He's finding out what path he's on.
My books with ace characters or demi characters are Undertow, which is book 7 of my Soul Share series. And we don't really find out about Quinich, the Gilliduv. He's basically a symbiote with an ancient oak tree in Scotland. And we don't find out about his sexuality until the last book in the series, Backdoor into Purgatory. Yeah, but if you want to read the whole series, please, be my guest.
The Fays are delightful. You'll love them.
They are just great because it's not a question of asexuality or aromanticism. It's a question of social gracism. You get more than one Fae in a room, and you end up with a tremendous amount of snark going on.
Well, my books with, so far the published ones are all demisexual characters. One of them is The Merchant's Love. It's part of the Chronicles of Tournai series, though it's one of the more recent ones, but all of them stand alone. You could totally jump in and read it, or you could totally go back to the beginning and read all of them. Fantasy romance kind of centering around a royal family, and Phelan is the demisexual one. He's rather bookish royal who ends up eventually falling for a merchant who is just totally captivated by him from the first moment. And then the other two that are published are my Elemental Magic series, A Dance of Water and Air and A Harmony of Fire and Earth. And there's a demisexual prince who originally Hesta is sort of pushed into an arranged marriage, or he's supposed to be pushed into arranged marriage, and then everything falls apart. There's lots of intrigue, and he ends up falling for the brother of the queen he was supposed to marry anyway. So, but those are the ones I have right now published. The one I'm working on, which is a first book in a Dragon Shifter series, also has a character who's somewhere on the spectrum. They haven't quite told me if they're gray ace or demisexual, and we're still figuring that out. I figure a lot out as I go along.
Dragons are stubborn too.
Yeah, it'll sooner or later they'll tell me what they want. But in any case, those are mine. And you can you can certainly find links to mine. Maybe everybody else is at off the bookstore at the Rainbow Space Magic Con
Or
website.
Queer Sci-Fi.
Yep, Queer Sci-Fi.
Yep, I don't have anything current with ace characters in it, but I do have in the works a young adult paranormal that will have an ace main character when I finish writing it. So who knows?
And it looks like we're getting kicked off.
Yeah, I think we might be getting to the end of our time, guys, but it's been fun.
Yes, it has. I hope everyone's enjoyed it, learned a little bit.
Thank you all for listening to us ramble and be interrupted by cats.
I'm amazed Jack hasn't tried to strip me yet.
Or he's lays on your boobs, right?
Well, he usually lies up here,
Yeah.
but if he's in my lap, he reaches up a paw and he grabs the neckline.
Oh, he let you flash everyone.
Yeah. He does that, but right now he's apparently feeling mellow.
Mine's just waiting. Like I said, she's waiting for dinner time, which comes with a pill shoved down the throat. Yes, I can do that without armoring up. I swear to God.
One meme I saw my cat's full name is Captain Jack Harkness. And one meme I saw that I really liked was asexuals are asexual because they donated all their sexuality to Captain Jack Harkness.
Well,
I just wanted to know where the drop-off site was.
Mine is Harlequin for her face, because she has two sides to her face, and that cat definitely has two different personalities. At home, total scary cat, ghost cat. At the vet's office, a total diva. She takes over the back area and demands all the attention for a cat. Like, they first said that to me, I'm like, that is not my cat. Like, oh no, we love her, bring her back. Like, okay, you can have her.
Oh, Jack. Now I'm getting hissed at him, not loving him up properly.
Where's your other one?
Gracie.
Wow.
Does her own
No, I
thing.
was just going to say, I think it looks like we've hit about 10 up, so we're probably out of time.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming and listening to us and all that.
Thanks, Scott, for
Thank
creating
you.
this. And everyone at Rainbow Space Magic, thank you guys for setting this up. This was awesome. We got to do it again.
Yep. Thank you so much, everybody.